This is my music pickup. It's Dan from the Rebel Gaming Club, and we're back with some more music pickups. You guys enjoyed the last one I did, saying you were turned on to a few of the bands you had never heard of, and that's what it's all about for me. I've always liked to spread the gospel about good music, and I have another stack of CDs here that I want to share with you, and maybe turn you on to some stuff you weren't familiar with. We'll try to throw some live clips in, a little samples here and there, and to give you a taste of what some of these bands are like. First up, we got a band that my old band, the River City Rebels, used to always play shows with back in the day. And the band was called Damone. It was fronted by a 16, 17-year-old girl at the time. And it kind of had a Runaways kind of vibe, a little bit of 70s glam rock with a new edge, kind of modern rock. But they always brought the heat, and she was a great singer and a songwriter at 17 years old. So to find one of their newer albums, Gypsy Eyes, I was all about it. I haven't heard this yet, so I don't know anything about it. Let's see if we can't find a live clip.
I'm rocking a muscle head car. I freestyle wherever I go. I don't cry whenever I fall, and I can run as fast as anyone I know.
Not bad, right? Damone. They were out of Waltham, Massachusetts. Next up, one of my all-time favorites. This is a definitive collection, and it is the band To Kingdom Come. Rootsy Americana rock with blues and folk and bluegrass, and pretty much a mashup of all the old-timey music, but with some really, really strong vocals and amazing songwriting.
I pulled into Nazareth. I was a feeling about half-past I just need to find a place where I can lay my head.
Definitely one of my favorites.
And you guys probably know them for 2 or 3 songs. The biggest being The Wait, and the other one being Up on Cripple Creek, which everyone knows. But you know, their stuff is chock full of hits, especially the first 2 albums. We got Kings of Leon, Because of the Times. This is, I believe, the second album by these guys, and it was the first kind of major label kind of push they got. And this album is phenomenal from start to finish. The opening track, Knocked Up, it goes on for like 7 minutes. It's about knocking a woman up and having to live with that. And let's see if I can't find a clip of it live. See what I'm talking about? So, you know, later on they became kind of like a wannabe arena rock band, but at this time it was still raw. They were just all over the place doing what they wanted to do, and this album's very special to me, so I was happy to find it. My favorite Neil Young record. I love, love, love Neil Young, but After the Gold Rush is my favorite Neil Young record. With such hits as Tell Me Why, Southern Man, Till the Morning Comes. Yeah, beautiful album, amazing songwriting, and one of my favorites.
Another one of my favorites
is a band called Arcade Fire. And my boy Richard Brian Kahn sent me this really cool case here. It's, I guess, a limited edition of their Neon Bible album. And this was their second album, I do believe. And it was a darker album compared to the first one. I saw these guys live when I was living out in Seattle at one of the big festivals out there, and they just blew me away. I like chills watching these guys just destroy the stage and the crowd kind of interacting with them. So really awesome of Richard Brian Kahn to hook that up. Here's a band that I saw 20 years ago when I was in high school, and then a few months ago I went and saw them again, and that is Fishbone. And I want to say this is their first EP they released back in '85. Could be wrong. Nope, I was right. 1985, this first release. And these guys put on one of the best shows you could possibly see. The energy of these guys, it's just through the roof. How do you describe it? They're a ska band, but they have R&B overtones and heavy onto the funk music. Wonderful band.
One of my faves.
I'm going to say a lot of that. It's a lot of my faves, because a lot of this stuff is my faves. I wouldn't be buying it. Next up, Bash and Pop. And this features Tommy Stinson, the bass player from The Replacements, which I love. This album is great too. He kind of like put a band together after The Replacements, and wonderful songwriting on this one. So this was a gem to find. I was shocked to find it locally at my thrift store, because I don't know who would have bought this back in the day. We got a sealed copy of Ryan Adams. Not to be mistaken with Bryan Adams. Ryan Adams is a singer-songwriter in the alt country vein, but he mixes it up. One of the best songwriters of our generation, and very prolific as well. I think this is one of his last albums that he released back in 2014, and I want to say that I saw him probably 2.5 years ago, and he was playing a lot of this material. Another band we played shows with, and that is Real Big Fish, another ska punk band. This pretty much reminds me of high school. You know, I was big into the ska music.
Is anyone gonna give me lots of money if I play what they want you to hear? Tell me it's cool, and I sure believe it. Sell out with me, oh yeah, sell out with me tonight. Record company's gonna give me lots of money, and everything's gonna be oh.
Still love ska music, but this is one of the albums that was a must-have back in '97, '96, '97, whenever it came out. And this really is the ska band that changed everything. I saw these guys live my junior year of high school, and that is the Mighty Mighty Bosstones. And I saw them right before this album, Let's Face It, dropped.
I'm not a coward, I've just never been tested. I'd like to think that if I was, I would pass. Look at the tested and the devil for the grace. So I might be a coward, I'm afraid of whatever. Never answer, not my word.
And fuck, changed everything. We lucked out once again. We were able to make friends with a few of the members. We played shows with them and had a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a crossover, which is nice. Anytime you can open up for a band you love so much, it warms your heart. So yeah, Let's Face It, I think their best album. And we got a couple records before we wrap this up. We found this thrifting, "Slippery When Wet" by Bon Jovi. Fuck. Like 8-9-year-old me with my babysitter, we'd fucking watch MTV for hours on end, and you'd pretty much see a music video or two every half hour by Bon Jovi during those days, and I loved it. I loved it so much. So this holds a spot in my heart. I'm glad to add it to the collection. The last record I found, I don't know how this slipped by me, because when it comes to music, I know my shit for the most part. I'm pretty well researched, and this is all I did for well over a decade, was just find music and get inspired by it. The Beach Boys, one of my favorites. You don't think about the Beach Boys really after 1969, you know. It was I don't know what they did really. I mean, they were releasing albums, but I wasn't hearing about it, and fucking Kokomo and shit like that in the 80s, which that's bullshit. But I found an album by the Beach Boys called "Love You," and this is from 1977. So I would be born a year later, but this album right here, at first you look at the album cover, you're like, I don't know what to make of this. Pop it on, super synth heavy. I'm hoping I can find some clips to play you guys. If not, you're going to have to trust me on this. Synth heavy, just the classic Beach Boys melodies and harmonies that you love, but with this updated fat synth sounds that make it one of a kind. I've probably spun this album a solid 30 times in the last few days. It makes me feel really good. And some really, really great songs. So if you guys are feeling venturous, you could try to find yourself a copy of "Love You" by the Beach Boys. Highly recommended. This is a 10 out of 10 right here for me, guys. Alright, so that's going to wrap up this music pickup. We'll do this every once in a while. Make sure to comment on this if you want to see more, and if you enjoyed it and you learned about some bands maybe you didn't know about. Because there's literally thousands of bands out there, guys. I know, I guess with most people, wherever you grow up, you just listen to the radio, and that's pretty much all you're exposed to. But I can promise you, there literally is thousands of wonderful bands that never made it to the radio, never got the push they deserved, but the music is just as fulfilling. So, let me know how you enjoyed this episode. We're going to try to do some more of these if you guys still want them. So, until next time, see you later.